finds that the Cambridge qualifications are really excellent preparation for our school. The students who arrive on our campus, having studied the Cambridge program, do extremely well. They've got a good breadth of knowledge, and also they've studied certain subjects in sufficient depth that they have real understanding.
We think the Cambridge International qualifications are a really good preparation for university study. They allow students to specialise in particular subjects, and they also allow students to develop lots of other skills which are really useful for university study. So things like communication skills, research skills and problem solving skills. And we welcome applications from international applicants.
UCL welcomes international applicants. We consider ourselves to be London's global university, so we have a large cohort of international students from undergraduate and postgraduate programmes, and we believe the Cambridge International A-level is a good preparation for our degree programmes, as are all A-level subjects.
For students who have studied the Cambridge Advanced qualifications, we do award credit for A-level and AS levels. We typically award for each A and AS level anywhere between 3 and 8 credits, which usually is somewhere between 1 and 2 classes for each exam produced.
The University of East Anglia welcomes applications from Cambridge learners because Cambridge is a trusted brand in education, and that means that I can believe the qualifications that I'm presented with, and I'm confident that there's parity across the world. So a student who has an A in Bangladesh will be equivalent to a student who has an A in the United States.
对，当是一型样子。
有靠头发，还粘着。
Salam sejahtera kepada semua hadirin. Peringatan mesra untuk semua hadirin dalam talian. Ini merupakan bengkel ulang kaji SPM e-books matematik tambahan. Anjuran RIAMTEC bersama Pejabat Pendidikan Daerah Miri. A very good afternoon to all guests. Fair reminder to you all, this event is the e-books SPM Revision Workshop for additional mathematics organized by RIAMTEC, collaboration with the Miri District Education Office. Untuk makluman pelancaran, bengkel ulang kaji SPM e-books additional matematik tambahan bermula dalam masa 5 minit lagi. For your information, the event will start in 5 minutes. Let's watch a video.
An important side here, this is the camshaft. This camshaft is not the one using for the engine.
A few moments later.
Not only minors. Okay?
More moments later. Minutes later. A few moments later. Minutes later. 5 minutes later. A few moments later.
Past SPM with flying colors.
Yeah, e-book SPM. Yes, they did it. So can you, all right? You can also, you can do it, SPM students, all right? Okay, Let me introduce to you our moderator of the day, Miss Winnie. Hello, Winnie.
Hi, good afternoon, Lina.
Hi, good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So, selamat tengah hari dan salam sejahtera kepada yang dihormati Dr. Ma Chi Nan, penceraman kita pada hari ini. Pengetua sekolah, guru-guru dan pelajar sekalian. My name is Winnie Tan. Allow me to share a little bit about myself. Okay, I'm teaching mathematics for Cambridge A-level program at RIAMTEC Miri. It is my pleasure to be the moderator of the days. Terima kasih atas penyertaan para hadirin ke bengkel ulang gaji SPM Ibus Matematik Tambahan Ajuran RIAMTEC bersama penjabat pendidikan daerah Miri. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We appreciate you taking time off your busy schedule to join us today. You will be awarded a certificate of participation for today's workshop. Kindly stay until the end for the QR code scanning. This is going to be a very beneficial sharing, especially SPM students. Sebelum memulakan bengkel ulang gaji SPM Ibus Additional Mathematics pada hari ini, please allow me to introduce our today's speaker by reading his profile. Okay, our expert teacher, Dr. Ma Chi Nan, is teaching additional mathematics subjects in SM St. Michael for 12 years. And he has won 7 years as Guru Cemerlang in additional mathematics. He has proven abilities whereas students achieve 100% passing rate from 2018 to 2020, as well as the subject grade point average, GPMP of additional mathematics in his school were 2.56 in 2018, 2.04 in 2019, and 3.02 in 2020. Before the session starts, if the students have any questions during the sessions, please share your questions in the chat options at any time and your question will be read from time to time. And now it is with pleasure that we would like to invite speaker of the day, Dr. Ma Chi Nan, to conduct the SPM Revisions Additional Mathematics. Dr. Ma, are you there?
Hello, Dr. Ma. Let's
Ma,
give him a little bit of time, yeah?
Okay.
Can
So
unmute.
students, get ready your questions. And you can ask any questions to him. Okay, I think Dr. Ma is here. Okay?
Yes.
So, before the session starts, okay, remember students, get ready your questions and ask in the chat options anytime. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Ma because he's here now. Okay, so Dr. Ma, the floor is yours now.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you to the organizer for the invitation here. I feel pleasure to be invited to have the sharing with all of you. And then, so today the subject that we want to do revision is additional mathematics. So when we talk about additional mathematics, I believe that I'm not sure because for some people, this subject is considered one of the interesting subject, but for most of the people, maybe you will feel that this subject is a nightmare for all of you. So I'm not sure whether you feel the same way or not. So at least for my students, a lot of them, they feel that this subject is a very tough subject and a very critical subject. And I cannot deny that. That's why the name is additional mathematics. But of course, when the syllabus is designed in this way, definitely it is not something impossible for us to master, right? So always we have certain strategy for us to study this subject. It's just that whether are you learning in the correct way or not. So many things many strategy we can use, and I believe that different stats, different school, different teachers, they have their own strategy for their own student because different people they are having different strength and different weaknesses. So that's why today my focus is to help you to predict a bit the format of this year because we know that KBSM last year is the final year of KBSM format and this year is the first year of KSSM. And honestly, none of us know how will be how will be the real format and real paper look like. Not until you look at the real paper. But of course, we still can do some prediction based on the past few year SPM because if for information, the topic for KPSM and KSM for additional mathematics not much different. It's just that it will be slightly different a bit in the content and the format. So maybe we can predict a little bit the pattern of the questions and also the weightage of the marks between different chapter based on past few years SPM. So first of all, I want to show you first my prediction on the additional mathematics SPM this year, and after that we are going to go through some important chapter. And one important thing is you need to know how to answer during the exam and also how you're supposed to answer to gain marks and how you're supposed to answer also to avoid losing marks because some people it's not that they cannot do, they can do, but it's just that the way they write is not accepted. Okay, something there are something that I want to share with you all today. So please allow me to share my screen. The host disable the attendee screen sharing. Oh, I think I can share already. Okay, I hope all of you can see the screen here. So first of all, the most important thing, of course, we need to know the formulas because we know that the formula list given in KSSM is much lesser if compared to KSSM. KBSM. KBSM, they have 3 pages for information, but for KSSM, we only have 24 formula which is given. So let us have a quick look on all the formula given. They are from which chapter. So if you look at the first formula, that one is from system of equations. One formula is given for you to find the x. And the second formula here is from the indices, surd, and logarithm. Is from the logarithm, how you change the base. Then after that, the rest are all not given. And after that, you can see the 4 formula here are all from the progressions. Okay, Janjang. But not all formula is given. So as you can see here, the formula of Sn, which is n over 2, n plus a plus l, the formula that involves the last term, that is not given in SPM. And also another formula which is not given is sum to infinity, a over 1 minus r, is not given also. So it's important. Why it's important for us to know what is given in formula list? At least from here, we have prepared ourselves to memorize those formula which is important but not given in SPM. And as you can see, the next topic here is from probability distributions, how to find the z-score and how to from the normal distribution and also the binomial. So, and these two is for permutation and combinations. And these 2 formula is from index number. And after that, a lot of the identity given here until number 21 are all from the chapter of trigonometric functions. So a lot is given, but also some are not given if you notice. especially the basic one that you change from for second becomes 1 over cos. This is not given. And then for cot theta equals to 1 over tangent, this is not given. So we have to find a way to memorize it. Of course, there are a few methods that we can consider also without memorizing. We try to understand it, but there are a few things also we still have to memorize. We have no other choice. And then the last 3 formula come from the chapter of solution of triangle. Other than that, for example, circular measure, none of the formula is given. Arc length not given, area not given. Coordinate geometry, we have formula also, finding gradient, equations, the divisor of line segment, finding the area of polygon by using the shoeless algorithm, not given. Okay, finding the concept of perpendicular, M1, M2 equals to -1, also not given. Okay, so only this 24 given, so please take note. Okay, after we know the formula list, the next thing we need to know is the format, the new format of KSSM. So I believe that a lot of you should know already your format because your teacher is supposed to tell you already. But if you still not really sure about this, let me show you. So additional mathematics, the new format you have consists of 2 papers, paper 1 and paper 2. So in KBSM, paper 1, we have 25 questions, all short questions. So paper 1 and paper 2, last time it looks quite different a bit. But if now KSSM, as you can see, paper 1, section A, we have 12 questions and 64 marks. If you count average, every question should give you an averagely 5.3 marks. And section B, 3 questions, we choose 2 to answer. So which means each question will give you 8 marks. And if you look at paper 2, section A, 7 questions, 50 marks, it will give you an average of 5.7 marks each questions. So as you can see, the section A in paper 1 and paper 2, even though paper 2 have a slightly higher marks compared to section section A in paper 1, but it doesn't make a big difference between them, right? For information in KBSM, paper 1 question, very short. The marks range from 2, 3, 4 marks, but definitely this one you can see, should be minimum 4, 5, 6, or even 7 or 7 marks or 8 marks, either in paper 1 or paper 2. So maybe in paper 1, the marks should be ranged from 4, 5, or 6. So this one we still don't know, not until we see the real paper. But if you look at section B, paper 2, every question will give you 10 marks, 10 marks. And section B, section C, all you can choose. This is the one that we have to plan. You have to plan how you're supposed to answer later on during SPM in order to maximize the score that you can obtain. Okay, so after we know the format, now let us do some prediction to the pattern of the question and also the possible topic that might come out in different sections here in paper 1 and paper 2. So let me show you first the analysis I did based on the past 5-year SPM. And like I say, KBSM is already over, but I do believe that the weightage between the weightage and the marks given for every topic shouldn't be too different compared to the previous SPM. So let us have a look. I already arranged according to the field here. For information, additional mathematics, we've got 5 main fields: algebra, geometry, calculus, trigonometry, and statistics. So as you can see, function average marks here. So which means the average mark here means I total up the marks for this topic come out in SPM from paper 1 and paper 2, and then I take 5 years average. So we have the average of 8 marks. And quadratic equation and quadratic function last time is two chapters, but now it becomes 1 chapter already. So that's why you can see the marks for these 2 chapters total up is higher a bit. But I do believe that because now it becomes 1 topic already, so it might be slightly reduced a bit in your KSSN format. And then if you look at system of equations, 6.2 average mark for this topic, it might be increased a bit because you got the new content, you got the 3 variable. Last time we do not have. And then indices, surd, and logarithm also, I predicted the mark for this chapter, it might be increased a little bit. Why? Because we got the new content, which is surd. Your senior never learned about that. And then progression 11, linear law 13, coordinate geometry 15, vector 14, circular measure 12, and then differentiation 11, integration 14, trigonometry function 13.8. Permutation and combination, that one is under the area of statistics. You can see it's only 3 marks. So it looks very little. Why? Because last time it only came out in paper 1 and only came out 1 question. So that's why usually we are not really emphasized on that topic. It's not that important. I'm not saying not important. It's just that the marks is not contribute a lot. But if you look at the new content in KSSM, we have a lot of new content, circular permutations, for example, and then the identical object. And many people feel that this topic is considered one of the tougher topic to master. And unfortunately, I have the feeling that this topic, it might be greatly increased in terms of the marks in SPM because of the increase in the new content in KSSM. So we have to get ready for that. And then probability distribution is the average mark is 16. And then for information, statistic and probability, these two topics is already go down to your normal mathematics. It's not no more in additional mathematics. So the marks here should be going up to the topic that they want to fill. So why I want to show you the marks here. I want you to have a look. Do you notice that every topic, we have 18 topic now, right? Every topic here, it gives you not very different mark between each chapter. You notice that especially from geometry until statistics. 15, 14, 12, 11, 14, 13. This one we do not know yet. That's why I only say I predict it will be much higher than KBSM. And this one 16. So you can see linear law 11, 13, 11, and so on. So not much difference. So if you ask me what topic you're supposed to, what topic is more important, what topic you're supposed to study, I can tell you, actually, almost every topic will contribute to your total marks. So from here, we know already. One topic you don't master, then your mark will reduce a bit. So for example, if you don't master vector, then averagely, maybe you will lose 14 to 15 marks already in SPM. So same thing also, if you manage to master one topic in SPM, for example, you master coordinate geometry, it means the 15 to 16 mark is already on your hand, right? How the student can improve in additional mathematics in a very short time. It's not because tiba-tiba they pandai, it's because they go and study chapter by chapter and try to make sure that they master chapter by chapter. From there, because from the data there here, we know that there is nothing about the luck. Maybe the luck, you need the luck for what kind of question will come out K-BAT lah. But most of the questions still come out the routine questions. So if you can answer the routine question, if you can master certain topic, for sure, you will obtain that amount of marks and it will help you to increase in your grade, right? So let me show you the average mark for every area because we have 5 areas. So when they set the exam question in SPM, they have to make sure that the weightage is there. They cannot be too big difference between different fields. So as you can see, algebra, averagely, every question gives you 10 marks. Geometry is 14. Calculus is 13. Trigonometry is 14, sorry. And statistics is 15. As can you see or not? The weightage between different areas here, they will make sure that they will not be too different between each area here. And why this is important? Because you still remember just now I say paper 1, section A, the marks is 5.2, 5.3 averagely in section A. Section B is 8 marks. And paper 2, section A is 5.7 averagely. And section B and C is 10 marks. But now you want to look back here. Do you notice every area here, the average score per topic is more than 10? This one is 10. This one algebra is 10, but it can be some topic may be less, some topic may be more. What does it imply here? It actually tell you that every chapter it will come up 2 questions. So I repeat, every chapter it will come up 2 questions. So which means if you do not master one chapter, definitely you got 2 questions you cannot answer in your SPM. Okay, so this is how we supposed to. This is some mental preparation you must have before you prepare for your SPM later on. But of course, the good part here is you still have a long time, 4 months, 4.5 months. So you still have to really plan well for your revisions. Okay, so according to the strategy they want to use for your revision, that one I will leave it to you and leave it to your teachers to plan for you. So today we are going to look into how to answer and how you're supposed to gain the marks. So before that, let me show you first my prediction on the question in this year SPM. So for your information, we have 4 topics is considered elective. So elective means you can choose, right? So solution of triangle is one of the topic, index number, kinematic of linear motion, and also linear programming. So as you can see, 2 of the topic here come from science and technology. Another 2 topic come from social science. Why they want this kind of design? Because those who taking additional mathematics, not all from the pure science student. Some are from art stream. For example, those are taking account and so on. Some taking economy, maybe they were taking additional mathematics also. So that's why they give the chance for the student to choose which one they want to answer. So as this one, you got 4 topics. So you got 2 science and 2 science social. So that's why social science. So from here, we can predict that my prediction is paper 1 and paper 2, these 4 elective package topic might come out in section C. So which is 4 questions they let you choose 2. And again, I want to emphasize this one is my prediction only, is my opinion. So how will the real question be? We have to look at the paper this year. And of course, this one is just I just give you some direction on how you're supposed to do the revision based on the prediction here. So section A, as you can see, we have 12 questions and then 7 questions. It's in a total of 19. So do you remember additional mathematics, how many topics? We have 18 topics. And all topic might come out in your section A, except the 4 elective package topic. Why? Because for me, elective package is for the student to choose. If they come out in section A, where they force the student to answer, which is not that fair for me. So that's why I do believe that 4 topic will not come out in section A. So 18 topic minus 4 topic, you still have 14 topic. So we count 19 question in total. We minus 14 topic, you still have 5. So do you know what does it mean? So all 14 topic, it might come out in section A, and then we have 5 topic again. It might come out again for the second time in the same section A. So we do not know. Might be one is coming out in paper 1, another one is coming out in paper 2. Okay, this is what we can see. And section B we can choose. So this one I predict based on KBSM format also. Usually the question come out in section B that allowed the student to choose come from the chapter of linear law, probability distributions, coordinate geometry, trigonometry functions, integrations, vector, circular measure, and differentiations. But of course, we still don't know whether they will make some changes or not to this format. But what I can tell you is, for so many years in KBSM, these are the 8 topics that might come out in your section B. Okay. So now let us try to do some prediction again. What might be the topic? What might be these 5 topics? First, function. Okay, function, quadratic function, system of equations, indices, surd, and logarithm. And then we have permutation and combination. And also one more is progressions. So these 6 topics, so we do not know which one might come out. And for information, system of equation usually only come out 1 question in KBSM, during KBSM. So I'm not sure whether they will continue this kind of this pattern or not in KSSM, but we just have to get ready for that. So overall, I gave you an overall picture on the topic here. So today our focus will be more on the topic that might contribute higher marks in your SPM. Okay, so I hope all of you are ready for my sharing today. So I will go through topic by topic based on the marks. But before that, I want to remind you first how you're supposed to give your answers. For example, the answers in decimal. I believe that when you answer the question, sometimes you need to write your answer in decimal, right? But some people, they just do not, they are not too sure how many decimals they have to put. Maybe they want to put 2 or 3 or 4 decimal places, and we have decimal places with significant figures again. Which one we're supposed to follow? So now I give you a direction here. Generally, all values must be at least 4 significant figures. I repeat again, at least 4 significant figures. Okay, 4 angka bererti. Okay, how we understand this one? Every calculation you do, and every answer, try to leave it at least 4 significant figures. Some topic that are really particular with these 4 significant figures. For example, probability distributions. Okay, some topic not so strict, but some topic very strict. Probability distribution, I give you some example. Probability distribution, the answer usually is less than 1, right? I give you 0 point, let's say 1080, 1080957 dot. You have many number at the back. Okay, let's say you want to round off your answers here. Then you have to be careful when you round off. Make sure that you have 4 significant figures, 0.108, and then you round it off here becomes 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, make sure that you always have 4 significant figures. Okay, I give you one more example, 0.1080, maybe 157. I change the 9 becomes 5. So some people when they round off this, they will notice, if you round off the 1 here, it still remains 0, right? So some people will just write it as 0.108. Okay, let me tell you, if you count this one, you only have 3 significant figures, right? So maybe you are wondering whether this is accepted or not in SPM. So I can tell you, in some chapter, yes. But in some chapter, no. For example, probability distributions. So that's why students, they always confused. Yes or no? This chapter, should I leave it in 4 or should I leave it in this way? So to avoid confusion, I would advise you, always stick to 4 significant figures. We just leave it at a 0 at the back. So just stick to this rules. Then you will always avoid the risk of losing marks. Okay, some people, that's why I say some people, they know how to do, but they just don't know how to write their answers. So for example, sometime probability, the answer is very small, 0.00010800157, for example. So if you want to round off this, don't write it as 0.0001, then you stop. No, please, you have to count it 1080. You count 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 significant figures before you stop. Okay, so you have to follow this rule as long as your answer is in decimal. Okay, so my advice for my own student, before you reach your final answer, try to leave it 1 extra decimal places. Maybe this is 4, right? So I will ask them to give me 5 first. Give me 5 or give me 6. Usually it's 5. Then when you want to get your final answer, we round off to 4. Okay, but even though it applies for every question and every chapter, but there are certain conditions you don't fully follow these rules. For example, angle in degree. As we know that when we learn about angle, we learn 2. We learn 2 units. One is angle in radian. Another one is angle in degree, right? Angle in radian in the chapter of circular measure. Angle in degree, usually we use in the chapter of solution of triangle. Okay, which one follow which? Let me tell you, angle in radian, we follow the rules of at least 4 significant figures. Okay, I repeat, angle in radian, we follow at least 4 significant figures, not less, but can be more. Angle in degree, this one you have to remember. We have to follow the rules of at least 2 decimal places. At least here means it can be more, but it cannot be less. So this one you must understand. It can be more, cannot be less. So I give you example again. Let's say you're doing a solution of triangle chapter, your answer in degree, you write down 180.1097, for example. So I think you should know already, if you want to leave your answer, you should leave it as 180.11. 2 decimal places at the back. Okay, so if 180.1017, this one also the same. So if you write it as 180.1, 0 you don't write, this one is not accepted. This is wrong. We need 2 decimal places. Okay, so this one you have to be very careful when you answer the questions. Okay, so this is what I mean by at least 2 decimal places for angle in degree. All right, so now, if you look back here, this one, if you count it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 significant figures, right? Even though it fulfill the first rules there, but because this one is angle in degree, so that's why we don't accept. So try to remember that. So one more condition we have to consider here is money. Okay, everything related to money. Usually, what chapter come out? Index number, it might come out. Progression, it might come out. Money, we have to make sure is exactly 2 decimal places if your answer is in decimal. Exactly, not more than, not less than. So once your answer is more than that or less than that, it's considered wrong. Okay, so this one very important, you have to remember. So I give you example here. Let's say if you get your answer in RM and your answer is I use back that 180 lah. 180.1097 and so on. This is the answer you get from calculator. So if you leave it as 180.10, I extend a bit, 52 and so on. If you round off, it become 180.1098, for example. This one is wrong. But if this one is angle in degree, is correct, we can accept. But this one cannot. Money cannot. So if you can see round off become 2 decimal places at the back, this one can, no problem. If you round off again, become 1, sorry. This one cannot because only 1 decimal places. So money, very strict. Once you have the decimal places at the back, you must follow the rule, 2 decimal places. So if whole number is okay, whole number no problem. No need to put 0, 0 at the back. But if got decimal, you have to follow. Okay, so one more reminder here. This apply in both working step and the final answer, especially final answer, especially a working step. Don't try not to make mistake during the working step. So once you do it, if you already leave your answer decimal places wrongly, it will affect everything until your final answer. So sangat sayang. Okay, so this is some sharing on the how you're supposed to leave your answer if your answer is in decimal. Okay, so today I want to share, I want to start the chapter with you. The chapter I want to start with you is system of equations. So system of equation, last time we call it as simultaneous equations. So simultaneous equation is a considered easy chapter, but many people, they might lose mark because of their careless mistake, or they, how to say, they maybe underestimate how strict is this chapter. So let me show you one question. For example, if they ask you to solve the following simultaneous equation, you are given 3x minus y minus 4 equals to 0, 5x squared plus 2y squared minus 6xy equals to 16. So for I think all from 4, from 5 students, you should know already how you're supposed to solve it, right? The easiest way for us to do is we use the substitution method. So here you can see, you can let the y be the subject, and then after that we substitute the y here, then you make it becomes O in terms of x, then you can solve it. Yes, so our first step here is we let the y be the subject, but of course you can let the x be the subject also, no problem. Okay, so for my example here, I show you by letting the y as the subject, and my second step here, I replace my y as 3x minus 4. Okay, as you can see, the second step here, I eliminate one of the variable, right? And after that, I expand everything, I make it into general form. So what I get is 5x squared minus 24x plus 16 equals to 0. Then after that, you can press calculator already, right? Once you press calculator, you can get the answer. And then you can write it back, become 5x minus 4, x minus 4. Because when you press calculator, you will get your answer. One is 4 over 5, another one is 4, right? And then when you substitute back to your first equation, this one, you will get back your y, which gives you the answer of y equals to negative 8 over 5 and y equals to 8. So this one is a very simple question. It's a very standard simultaneous equation question I want to show you here. But there are something I want to remind all of you when you answer these kind of questions. So let me show you first the marking here. So maybe, especially those Form 5 students, you should know already where can you get the marks, right? First mark given for the subject. You either let your Y or the X be the subject, you will get 1 mark, right? Second mark will be given once you manage to eliminate one of the variable here. So in this case is substitute. So when you substitute the Y with 3x minus 4, you will get your second marks. After that, the next mark is not the general form. The next mark is the method of solving here. So the method of solving is either you factorize or you solve by using formula. Okay, that one is your choice. Okay, formula or factorize. Fourth mark and fifth mark is your answer for X and your answer for Y. So it's a very simple marking and a very straightforward marking also. Subject, substitute, method of solving, X and Y. But many people, they can easily lose mark because of their careless mistake. Let me show you. So maybe you can reflect back your way of answering, whether you ever make this kind of mistake or not. Okay, let me show you the first mistake. Some people, they do until here. Okay, they do until here. They get the general form. And after that, they press calculator. After they press calculator, then they get the answer. Then they write down the answer for X. Then after that, they count for the Y. Then they forgot to write this back. Forgot to write this method back. So which means from the general form, they skip to the answer of X and Y. Everything is correct. Try imagine. Everything is correct. It's just that the method of solving they forgot. So many people, they thought that, oh, if you forgot the step, if you forgot that step, you only lose 1 mark, right? And your answer is correct, ma. It's not a big deal. Everything is correct. But let me tell you, it is a big deal. Why? Once you forgot the method of solving, either you use formula or you use factorize, this 1 mark is gone, right? But you have to be careful. Your answer for X and your answer for Y will not get any single marks at all, even though they are correct. Why? Because you did not show the method of solving. So this is how strict is the marking scheme in SPM. So you have to really be careful. Don't allow you to forget about this step. Okay, so this is the first mistake. So second mistake I want to show you, some people, they remember to show the method. Okay, they remember. After they find the answer, 4/5 and 4, okay, what they do is, they write like this. I write here. Okay, they write back this one equals to 0. And then they see this answer is 4/5. Then they write down X minus 4/5. X minus 4 equals to 0. And then they go to the answer. And they thought this is correct. Okay. So I think your school teacher already tell you this is not accepted, right? The working itself is not correct. Okay, why not correct? Because if you look properly, if you use the X, multiply with the X here, you will never get 5X squared, right? That is a problem. So which means they are not connected. Okay, so from the general form to the factorized here, they are connected, even though you can get the answer correctly. And last time also, I feel that this is not a really big problem. Maybe the student will lose 1 mark, but it proven that I am wrong. You know why? Once you make this mistake also, same thing, starting from the method of solving, you will lose the 3 marks, including the X and Y, although your answer is correct. Okay, so please keep this one in mind. So this is the easy question, but don't let your marks gone just because of this kind of mistake. So sometimes if you want to avoid this kind of mistake, maybe you can just use the formula. Okay, use the formula, because formula you will not face this kind of problem. Okay, formula you just have to substitute in, and you will, as long as your ABC is correct, the formula is correct, you can always get the 1 mark. Okay, so but if you want to use factorize, it's not wrong. Make sure that you do it correctly. Okay, so this one is wrong. Huh? So here I could put some notes here. If method of solving of QE is not shown, 3 marks gone. K0, N0, N0 means 3 marks gone. For the case of x minus 4 over 5, x minus 4 is 0, also you will get O gone. Okay, be careful with that. So some of you maybe want to ask, what about if the answer is in decimal? Okay, I show you one example here of decimal. So you can see how to know this answer is decimal because the question say correct to 3 decimal places. This one we have to follow the question. If 3 decimal places, please make sure your final answer is exactly 3 decimal places. Okay, so here I will do it fast. You know that the first step is you let the subject, you find the subject is either X or Y, And after that, the second step is eliminate one of the variable. So it's either you substitute the X or you substitute the Y. And then next step, we use formula. We get the general form, and then we use the formula to solve for either Y or X. And then you will get your both answer for Y and X, and make sure that you always leave it in 3 decimal places. So the marking also straightforward. Subject 1 mark, substitute 1 mark, method of solving 1 mark. In this case is formula. Y and X 1 mark. So 5 marks here. So this one, I think you should know already, but now I want to tell you again, some people, they might make this kind of mistake also. So I want you to try to recall back. Did you ever make this mistake or you still making this kind of mistake? After you press calculator, you get the answer 0.626 negative 2.054. And then without thinking too much, you write down y minus 0.626 y plus 2.054 equals to 0 as your working step. So I'm not sure how many of you ever did this kind of mistake. So try to ask yourself back. If you are making this kind of mistake, please tell yourself, you will lose the 3 marks also. The K1, the working step here gone, the answer gone, the answer here gone. Okay, it's a very serious mistake, even though it's a very small mistake. Okay, this is the one. This is the advice that I want to give you about this system of equation. Try to avoid this kind of mistake that will cause you to lose at least 3 marks. Okay. Okay. Now that's all about the system of equations. So if you have any question, you can ask me. You can if you don't want to, if you cannot right ask, you can just leave it as a chat, so the moderator might read it for you. Okay, so if no questions, I will just proceed to the next chapter. So this one just a reminder lah, you don't make this mistake. So the second topic I want to go through with you. Okay, second topic I want to go through with you is the Form 4 chapter, which is coordinate geometry. So coordinate geometry, I believe that a lot of you will not feel that this chapter is difficult. Yes, this chapter is not difficult. It's about the gradient, the equation of straight line, the line or the divisor of line segment to find area, locus, and so on. It's not a really critical topic, but like I say in front, this topic, no formula is given at all, right? So that's why we had to figure out the way how to answer those questions without memorizing. Cannot say without memorizing. Maybe we try to find a way to help you to remember better the method to solve the question. Okay, for example, this question, solution of scale drawing is not accepted. So usually in SPM, you will see this word, solution of scale drawing is not accepted. Do you know what does it mean? What is the meaning of that? Because some students, they try to use protector, they try to use the ruler, and then they use the graph paper, then they go and plot the coordinate there, and then they try to measure the answer from their drawing. So cannot be accepted. Okay, everything must based on the calculations. Diagram 11 shows a triangle ACD, side AC intersect y axis at point B here. And then we look at the questions. First question, they ask for the coordinate of A. So this coordinate of A, we do not know. So I label it as XY here. We do not know the coordinate, right? And then the second question, they ask for the equation of straight line AD. So you can see the A from to D is this line. The third one is the area of this triangle. So this one is the easy one, but how we supposed to answer it without struggle yourself to memorize the formula? So I will introduce the certain method for you, and then You check whether if you okay with the method, you can use it. If you feel that you still prefer the formula, to memorize the formula, I mean, you just stick to the method you find it easy for you. Okay, firstly, AB, BC is 2 to 3. So we label the ratio here 2 to 3. Right. And in order to get the coordinate, you know that this chapter is related to divisor of line segment. So usually what I ask my student to do, I will ask them to draw a cross. So from this coordinate, I ask them to cross to the 3. And from the coordinate of the C here, I will ask them to draw again the cross to the 2. Okay, usually I call this one as cross method. Why I want to do that? Because it will help them to help them to figure it out which one multiply with which one. For example, we look at the x first. X, you cross to the 3, right? So I write down 3 times x. And then we look at another x. Another x is 6. 6 multiply with the 2 here. So I write down plus 6 multiply with the 2 divided by the total weightage, a total ratio. Total ratio is 2 and 3, which is 5. So as you can see, this formula is actually mx1, nx1 plus mx2 over m plus m plus n. It's a very complicated formula, but by drawing this cross, you can easily identify which one multiply with which one. And then it will equals to this coordinate between them. So we take the x now, so we let it equate to the 0. Right? After that, you solve it, you will find the x already. Same thing to do with the y. So if we look at the y you cross to the 3 there, it becomes 3 times y plus, okay, now we look at 12. 12 you cross, you multiply with the 2 here. So 12 times 2 divided by the total ratio, and then we equate it with the y here, which is 6. So this one is your starting step already. You compare the x, you compare the y. This is the method usually I ask my student to use when they want to find the divisor of line segment. And I will show you the working here. Okay, this is the working I write just now. And then after you solve it, you should able to get the coordinate of -4 and 2. Okay, so it's a simple question. After we get the coordinate, after we get the value of x and y, maybe you can write down here -4 and 2. Again, if you look at the second question, we want to find the equation of the straight line AD. So every time when you want to find the equation of straight line, always remember the method of y equals to mx plus c, the gradient form. Or you can refer to the point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals to mx minus x1. So it depends on which method you prefer. Okay, both methods can be used. So maybe here we try to use y equals to mx plus c. If you want to use y equals mx plus c, you notice there are a few things you have to find. First is the gradient. Second is the y-intercept. So we need to know what is this value, right? So if given, then we can directly put in, but this is not given, so we have to find it. So what we do now, we find the gradient first by using the formula. This formula is not given in SPM, so make sure that you try to memorize it. We start with the y, and then we divided by the x. So the y here, maybe we can start from 2. You can start from 2 also can. You want to start from -6 also can. 2 minus -6 divided by -4 minus 2. So the first part here will give us 8. The second part, the numerator gives us +8. The denominator gives us -6. So it's 8 over -6. So which gives us the gradient of -4/3. Right. Okay, that is the first thing. So after we find the gradient, now we want to find the y-intercept. So in order to find the y-intercept, we substitute any of the coordinate here, either -2, 4, 2, or 2, -6 inside the y equals to mx plus c. Okay, you just choose any coordinate you feel is comfortable for you to substitute. So maybe I take -4 and 2. Okay, I put -4 and 2. So I put in 2 is equals to, gradient is -4/3, and the x is -4. Oh, this one it looks a little bit complicated, but it's okay. This is how you do it. You find the c first. Okay, we find the c first. So to find the C here, we have to multiply this one and then we move it to the other side. So it becomes, okay, let me count here. 2 minus 4 times 4 divided by 3. So we get negative 10 over 3. Right, so with that, we get a negative value already. To know whether the value is correct or not, you check. The y-intercept is a negative value, right? So maybe it is correct, maybe. So the method I show you here, the method I show in my calculation here is by referring to the slot form, the point slot form. Y minus y1 equals to mx minus x1. In my solution here, I choose the second coordinate. As long as the coordinate pass through by your straight line, you can always use it. Okay, and if you refer to my first method here, we already know the y-intercept and we know the gradient. We can write our answer already, which is y equals to negative 4 over 3x minus 10 over 3. All right. Okay, this is how we do it. Third, the area of the triangle ACD. So again, we know that this one we have to use the shoeless formula. And shoeless formula for information is not given also. So that's why if you look at the formula given, it's actually quite complicated, but we have to know how to apply it. So usually I will just ask my student, you no need to memorize which one multiply which one. You just have to you just have to know how to arrange it. For example, let's say I start from the coordinate A, then I write down negative 4 and then 2. And then I will do anti-clockwise. 2, negative 6. So from here, I go to this point first, and then I will go up to this point, 6, 12. And then don't forget, I have to go back to my starting point A also. Make sure that you complete one round. So negative 4, 2. Okay, after you fill in this, then we can draw the shoelace already. Why the name is shoelace? Because it looks like shoelace. Negative 4 times negative 6. I advise you, please, you write it down. Some people, they will do it too fast. They know that 4 times 6 is 24. Then they write out 24. Can also no problem, but I still advise the student, don't be too fast. You show the substitution first. You have to show which value multiply with which value. Okay, so now we cannot continue to go anymore, right? So as you can see, so it's a time for us to go back. So negative 4, we go back, multiply with 12. So since the direction is already changed, so that's why we minus here. So I open again a big bracket here. So negative 4 multiply with the 12 plus 6 multiply with negative 6 plus 2 multiply with the 2. Okay, I repeat again, even though the number here is very small, but make sure that you don't skip the step of which value multiply with which value. Is to avoid you losing marks. Okay, if you get it correct, no problem. If you make mistake, you might lose mark. And so if you go and count it, you will get your answer as positive 70. Okay, positive 70. So let me show you first where is the marking. Oh, my place here raining heavily, so I hope my voice still clear. And for the first mark, you either you compare the X or the Y. I repeat, you either compare the X or the Y, you will get your first mark, or either X or Y. Okay, second mark is given to your answer. All right. Now, for the second question, you want to find the equation, right? Finding gradient give you 1 mark. Substitute the gradient and 1 point into either the gradient form or the point slot form, give you 1 mark. So which means if you are using the gradient form, the 1 mark is given to this step. 1 mark given to the gradient, 1 mark given when you substitute inside the coordinate. And 1 more mark is your final answer. Okay, final answer is okay for you to leave it in the fraction form, don't worry. All right. And the third question, finding area, usually area is only 2 marks. So 1 mark is given once you substitute the value inside. That's why I say it's important for you to show your substitution. And 1 mark is given to your answers. Okay, so student, I do believe that you ever heard from your teachers also about one thing in marking scheme, we call it follow through. So follow through mark is always given, especially for the question that you, for the long question. For example, this question, you need to find the coordinate of A first, right? You notice that you have to find the coordinate A, and after that, you are going to use the coordinate of A to substitute inside here in order to find the gradient, right? And after you find the gradient, you will use the gradient to get the equation, to get the equation of the straight line, right? And after that, you have to refer to the point A to substitute inside here to find the area of the triangle, right? Try to imagine if your A is already wrong, it will cause everything wrong. It will cause your gradient wrong. It will cause your equation wrong. It will cause your area wrong. Excuse me. So now, if that is happening, are you going to get 0 here? So I'm telling you, no. Okay, no. We are going to get follow through marks here. So follow through marks means the mistake is because of your previous questions. Okay, please excuse me. Okay, sorry. Let us continue. I repeat again. What I mean by follow through here, try to imagine your point A is wrong. Let's say your working set is correct. Your answer is wrong. Wrong because of you make careless mistake with your calculations. So that will cause the value you substitute inside here is wrong, right? But because this mark is given to your working set, you understand how to use the formula to find the gradient. So that's why you are still getting the K1 here. And even though the value is wrong, but the marks is given to you because you find the gradient correctly. And after that, you substitute the wrong gradient inside here correctly. So the method you use here is wrong. It's just that the value is wrong. It's because of your point A is wrong. So you still able to get this K1 as your working step marks, your understanding. But of course, your answer will be wrong. You cannot get any marks from there. So try to look at question C also. This value, this value, this value, and this value, if your A is wrong, they all will be wrong, right? But the thing is, if you show the substitution here, the examiner can see, oh, which value multiply with which value multiply with which value. They can check for you. And then they can check even though the value is wrong, but they know this mistake is not because you don't know how to find the area, it's because your A is wrong, right? So you're still able to get this working step marks, even though your answer is wrong, your answer cannot get. Okay, so that's the reason why I say, when you find the area, try not to skip the step of substitution, so that when you make careless mistake, you still can get the 1 mark from the working step here. Okay, I hope this is clear. So this one, I just show you one example of follow through marks. So actually many questions in additional mathematics, it will apply this kind of marking scheme. You always have the follow through. Okay, so don't worry when you answer the question. Try to answer the whole question completely. Even though you make a big mistake there, asalkan, as long as your working is correct, you can always get marks. So if you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 marks here, how many marks you can get here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Even though everything is wrong, right? It's already more than half. Okay, so this is some knowledge on, and not knowledge, some idea on how they give you the mark in SPM. And let me show you again one more thing, which is locus. Okay, locus questions, every year it will come out, and every year never miss in SPM. So that's why if you don't know how to answer the locus question, definitely you will lose the marks. So let me show you how we're supposed to understand the questions. But I believe there's a lot of you actually know how to do already. Point P move such that its distance from point C is always twice its distance from point D. So some people, when they read this question, they bingung already. They feel, wow, very complicated when they read the whole thing, very long. But we have to know how to extract the information from the question. For example, this its here stands for the locus P, right? The C here stands for C, right? Is here, you just write down equal here. Twice here stands for 2 times, you write down 2. So it here stands for the locus P, so you write down P. It distance from D. So this one, D is point D. So what can you see here? PC equals to 2PD. So this is how we convert the whole sentence into the mathematical terms. And you know that to find the equation of locus, you need to apply the distance formula, and you need to know what is distance formula here. So I write it down here for those who forgot already, because you need that formula and it is not given. X2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. So for this question, there are two distances you have to find here. The first one is PC. The second one is PD, right? So let us find one by one. So PC, P we do not know. P we refer to the coordinate of XY. So C we refer to the coordinate of 6, 12. D we refer to the coordinate of 2, negative 6. So we have to substitute one by one. So if you find PC, so I write down here, this one is your PC. PC. So you put in XY is from the P, 6 and 12 is from the C, right? So again, this one is for your PD, X and Y is from the P, 6 and negative 6. This one is actually negative 6, but I already changed it become plus. This one is from your D. So from here, we find our PC and PD already. So our next step is we substitute inside PC equals to 2PD. Put inside here. Okay, put inside here. And after that, many people, they easily make mistake after this step. Okay, let me show you first. Our next step is we square both sides. So the first mistake usually made by the student is the 4. When they square, they forget the 2 becomes the 4. Secondly, the bracket. When they kasi hilang the square root, the bracket they forgot. Okay, this bracket had to be there, remember. And then they expand, you get your final answer, 3x squared plus 3y squared minus 4x plus 7-2y minus 20 equals to 0. Okay, so now I want to show you, this is the important part, how we're supposed to get the marks here, because this question usually people easily make mistake. Okay, let me tell you. Usually locus got 2 or 3 marks. It depends on how complicated is the question is. For example, this question, 1 mark is given once you manage to get your PC or your PD. I repeat, once you manage to show that you are getting your PC or your PD, you will get the first mark. Right. Okay, second mark is given once you substitute inside once you get both your PC and PD, and then you substitute inside PC equals to 2PD. Second mark is given to this step. And some people may be wondering, if you did not show the first step, you directly jump to the second step, can or not? Of course can, no problem. Why? Because they still can see your PC from here. They still can read your PD from here. As long as one of the distance here you apply correctly, you can get this 1 mark. Your first mark. Okay, or one of the distance here correct, 1 mark. Both distance find correctly and you substitute inside PC equal to 2PD, 1 mark. And your final answer gives you 1 mark. So for those who you easily make mistake here, okay, let me tell you, if you manage to do until this step, at least you still can get 2 marks. So if you expand it, you simplify it wrongly, make mistake, don't worry, you lose 1 mark only. Okay, you will not lose 2 marks. Okay, but you have to make sure that you can do until this step correctly. So that's why it's important for you to know how to extract the information from the question and how to apply the distance formula. Okay, so that's all for the coordinate geometry I want to share with you. And I hope this is clear, especially the marking scheme. And the next topic I want to share with you today is linear law. So I believe that linear law is another considered easy chapter for most of you, because you just have to plot the point, plot the point and draw the line and then do some calculations. Okay, so I want to repeat again. If you have any question you want to ask, you can ask. You can type in the chat. The moderator can help you to read it out for me. And linear law got two parts here. One is section paper 1, another one is paper 2. So as I think you should know already, paper 2 question usually is the one that they ask you to draw and then ask you to do calculations. So the calculation part is actually the question from paper 1. So it's important for you to know the calculation and how to reduce into the linear form. If you know that one, paper 2 shouldn't be a big problem for you. Okay, let me show you a paper 1 question first. Then we go to paper 2. The variable x and y are related by the equation p over y equals to 1 minus q over x squared. I write it down here. P over y equals to 1 minus q over x squared. And then diagram shows a straight line graph obtained by plotting 1 over y and 1 over x squared. So from here, we know already this 1 over y is actually our big Y. Okay, this 1 over x squared is actually our big X. Okay, I think I could type it down. Yeah, y and big X. And when you read this kind of question, we must understand it's important for us to identify what is our y-intercept and what is our gradient. Can you see the y-intercept is 2 here? Okay, this concept is important for paper 1 and paper 2. You are doing paper 2 also the same. You must identify what is your y-intercept and what is your gradient. So our y-intercept is 2. And to find the gradient here, very simple. Do you notice the point is given here? So the point is given, so we can just find our gradient by using the formula. So we use 6 minus, okay, this one, the coordinate is 0, 2, right? 6 minus 2 over, okay, the x, 5 minus 0. So with that, we get 4 over 5. So that is our gradient, 4 over 5, right? So with that, we actually get the linear form already. So the linear form is big Y equals to big X, M big X plus C. So for those who have learned this formula, you should know what is the meaning of linear form, right? Big Y and big X, it can be represent some other things than small y and small x. So big Y, let us see, our big Y is 1 over Y, correct? And my gradient here is 4 over 5. And my big X here is 1 over x squared. And my y-intercept here is 2. So this is the linear form based on our graph, right? But of course, this is not the question because the question asks for what? Asks for the value of P and Q. Okay, so which means we have to look back to our non-linear equation here. So P over Y equals to 1 minus Q over x squared. So you have to find a way to eliminate the P here so that you can get the 1 with the Y, right? So in order to eliminate the P, what we do is both sides we multiply with 1 over P. So this side also the same. We multiply with 1 over P. So with that, the P is cancelled. So I will get 1 over Y. Right, so the other side, it will give me 1 over P minus this one, we have no choice. We will write it as Q over Px squared. All right, and the things look complicated, but we have to know how to split this one because we know that our big X is 1 over x squared, and we need to know this Q over Px squared, we can write it as Q over P bracket 1 over x squared. Right, so this one is 1 over Y. So here is 1 over P. So with that, we get our linear form already. So as you can see, this one is our gradient. Let me see. This one is our gradient. And this one is our y-intercept. So if you cannot see, if you cannot identify the gradient and y-intercept, you can arrange it properly. 1 over y equals to negative q over p bracket 1 over x squared plus 1 over p. Try to get the linear form from here. How to know this is linear form? You can see this y equals to mx plus c, right? So after we do under this step, we can compare with the linear form we get from here already, because we know that the gradient is 4/5 and the y-intercept is 2, right? We compare. So 1/p we compare with 2, we will get the first answer, p is 1/2. And after that, we can compare the gradient. Gradient is negative q/p, right? We compare with the gradient that we obtain, 4/5. And because we know that p is 1/2, so we can move the p to the other side, and then we replace it with 1/2, and finally you will get your answer. Q is equals to negative 2/5. So basically, this is how we solve our questions in paper 1 and also paper 2 by comparing the gradient from the linear form, and the gradient and the y-intercept from the linear form, and also the graph given. Of course, paper 2, the difference is the graph you have to draw by your own, right? Now, the marking here, because this question got 4 marks, right? First mark is given once you manage to get your linear form. I erase all my writing here first. First mark is given once you manage to get your linear form, this one. Once we manage to see your linear form, we can see your gradient, your big Y, your big X, your y-intercept, 1 mark. Okay, second mark is given once you manage to compare either your y-intercept, or your x-intercept. Okay, either you compare the y-intercept or your x-intercept. 1 mark given to the P, 1 mark given to the Q. Okay, I hope this one is clear. So usually paper 1, this kind of question, this is how they give you the mark. Sometimes can be 3 marks, sometimes can be 4 marks. But 1 mark is always given to the linear form. Okay, how to get the linear form? You always check what the question wants. But of course, sometimes the question doesn't ask for that. So you have to try your best to get your linear form from any information you have, either from the graph or from the non-linear equations. Okay, maybe some of you want to ask, is this the only way for us to do? Of course, this is not. Let me show you the second method. We call it substitution method. So substitution method is just like the name. We just have to substitute the coordinate inside the linear form. For example, after we get the linear form, what we know that our 1/y is big Y, right? And the 1/x² is big X. 1/p is 1/p, the y-intercept. And negative q/p is q/p. So this one, we do not have to know the gradient and y-intercept, because substitution method, we don't have to know what is gradient and what is the y-intercept. What we need to do is substitute the coordinate. What to substitute? You have 2 coordinates here. The first one is 0, 2. The second one is 5, 6. Okay, we have to substitute inside here. So the first one, I substitute 0, 2 inside. Okay, inside here. Then I will get 2. Then I get 0. And then 0 multiplied with q/p, gone already. Then you will get your first answer, which is p is 1/2. Okay, after we get the p, the next thing we want to do is we substitute the 5, 6 inside the equation, the linear form here. And then you will get 6 equals to 1/1/2 minus q/1/2 times 5. And then you simplify it, you will get your answer. Q is equals to negative 2/5. So this is what we call substitution method. So for those who want to use this method, I will encourage you, once you get your linear form, try to change it to big Y first. And then same thing also, once you get your big Y and you know that this one is your big X, change it to big X here. You know why? Because some people, they easily make mistake. They look at this coordinate 5, 6. They might accidentally replace the Y here, not the whole thing. But we know that actually the 6 is the whole thing, not the small y, right? Same thing also, the 5 is the whole big X, not the small X there. So that's why my advice is, when you want, you try to replace it with big Y and big X first before you proceed, to avoid the careless mistake. Okay, for the marking, same also, 1 mark given to the linear form. Okay, 1 mark given, either you substitute here or here. Either you substitute the 0, 2 inside or the 5, 6 inside. 1 mark given to the P, 1 mark given to the Q. Okay, I repeat, you always have 2 methods to solve the questions. One is the normal way, we compare the gradient and compare the y-intercept. The second method, we call it substitution method. In some condition, the first method is easier, but some condition, second method is easier. So it's up to your understanding. But keep in mind, substitution method, we don't use in paper 2. So I repeat again, substitution method, this one, we don't use in paper 2. Why? Later I tell you the reason. So let us have a look on paper 2. Paper 2, we need to draw the line of best fit by our own. So we need to know the rules here, especially the rules that we have to follow starting 2020, last year. First, because you know that line of best fit means the straight line, it will not pass through all the point, right? Some point at the left-hand side, some point at the right-hand side. So the first condition you have to fulfill here is the number of point at the left side and the right side of the straight line must be the same. Or even though they are not the same, the difference can be 1. For example, 1 point at the right-hand side, 1 point at the left-hand side, 1 point at the right-hand side. This one can, because the difference is only 1 point, right? But this one okay. But if the condition like this, 1 point at the right-hand side, 1 point at the right-hand side, left-hand side, no point at all, but you have 2 points at the right-hand side, this one we cannot accept. Okay, so when you draw, we have to make sure this is fulfilled. Second condition you have to fulfill here is the distance of the point from the straight line must be almost the same. Okay, what does it mean? Let's say I draw a straight line, and then the point, 1 point at the right-hand side, 1 point at the left-hand side, 1 point at the right-hand side. So as you can see, the point at the right-hand side, the distance from the point to the line, see the distance from the point to the line, they are almost the same, right? So in this condition, yes, we can accept. But let me show you the second one. This is a straight line, 1 point at the right-hand side, 1 point at the left-hand side, 1 point at the right-hand side. Do you notice that these 2 points, the distance is this, but this one suddenly it becomes very far from the line. So we have to avoid these conditions. So we have to make sure, we cannot say exactly the same distance, but you have to make sure the distance will not be too different. Okay, the second one we cannot accept already because too different. One is small, another one is too big. Okay, so line of best fit, basically only these 2 conditions you have to fulfill. So every time when you draw, make sure you draw and then you draw until you get the y-intercept. Don't stop halfway. Okay, let me show you one example. But of course, this question, I do not have the time to show you step by step how to do. But most importantly, I need to show you how we're supposed to get the marks from this question. So usually, linear law question in paper 2, it will come out like this. They will give you a linear form. In this case, it's y equals to h over k to the power of x. And you are given a table. So they will ask you to construct a table. And in this question, they ask you to construct a table for log 10 y. So how to find the log 10 y? Simple. Just log all the value of y, and then you put inside the table. Then secondly, they will ask you to draw the graph. I mean line of best fit according to the scale given, 2 cm to 2 units on the x-axis, 2 cm to 0.1 unit on the log 10 y-axis. So you have to really follow the scale given, please. And then after that, you draw it, and you can see question C, use the graph given. Find the value of h, find the value of k. Do you notice this question looks like the question asked in paper 1? So the difference here is paper 1 question, usually the graph is given to you. They ask for the calculation only. But paper 2, they ask you to draw the graph first before they go for the calculation. So that's why I said, if you know how to answer paper 1 questions, paper 2 question C shouldn't be a problem for you. You just have to make sure you can draw. Okay? So now we get the table first. This one also I want to remind to you, when you draw the table, especially the question, especially the value that go decimal, for the value in the table, make sure you have at least 2 decimal places. You can give more if you want, but 2 decimal places is the minimum for you to plot the point. Okay, I repeat, 2 decimal places is the minimum decimal places for you to plot the point. Okay, after that, we draw the graph. We plot the point one by one. Make sure you plot as accurate as possible. Okay, usually in SPM we got 6 points. So if you notice you only draw 5 points, you better check back 5 point or 6 point. Okay, then after that we draw the straight line and make sure that you have the big y-intercept. If you draw halfway, it's considered wrong already. Your graph is incomplete. Okay, after this step, you have to understand one thing also. This is your non-linear equations. Okay, non-linear equation. So I write it down here. y equals to h over k to the power of x. So we need to reduce it becomes the linear form. And this question already telling you, they want you to give the log. So which means if you want to reduce, both sides you have to add log. So question SPM, they will not ask you to reduce it. You have to reduce it to get 1 mark. So both sides will add log. So for those who have no idea how to do the log, please make sure at least you know how to use the log in this chapter. The method is usually always the same. First step, you both side log. Then after that, we split the h over kx. So it becomes log 10 h. If over, it becomes minus, right? So minus log 10 k to the power of x. And you notice that the small x here, because the question say log 10y against the small x. So you have to make sure your small x is your big X. We need to bring it down. So now I bring it down, I get log 10y equals to log 10h minus, okay, I bring it down. So I write it as x log 10k. So maybe this way of writing is not that nice. So I will arrange it properly. I should able to get this. I write down here equals to negative log 10k, and then I will put a bracket like this. And then I put an x plus log 10h. So with that, I get my linear form already. So what can we see here is this negative log 10k is our gradient, and this positive log 10h is our y-intercept. So I can write it as big Y equals to negative log 10k big X plus log 10y. Okay, not enough space for me to write. So usually you have to write in one row. Okay, now let us have a look. We want to find, do you notice this word using the graph in 9B? This is the main reason why you cannot use the substitution method in paper 2, because they want you to use your graph. Imagine that if you use substitution method, I think you will just simply pick any point, maybe this point and this point, and then you will substitute it inside the linear form, and then you solve it simultaneously. You still can get the answer for h and k. Yeah, actually you can get, but it's not accepted in paper 2 because of the word using the graph. So that's why paper 2, remember, we always use the first method, which is compare the gradient, compare the y-intercept. So first question, when the x is 2, you can see I draw the dotted line already, and then I can get the value of 0.58. So I write down log 10y is equal to 0.57 or 0.57, 0.57 or 0.58. It depends on your drawing. It depends on how you read, how is your graph. Different people, they might have slightly different value. And then y is equal to 10 to the power of 0.57, which gives me 3.715. And do you remember I said just now, always make sure your answer has 4 significant figures. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the safest way for you to leave your answers. Okay, I repeat again. This one I write down 7 here, but based on my graph, macam 8 lah. I don't know it's 8 or 7. So you have to read your graph properly before you write it down. Okay. And then secondly, if you want to find your h, as you can see, this one is your gradient. Your gradient do not have a h. Your h is with the y-intercept. So that's why we know already we have to compare with the y-intercept. Our y-intercept is 0.7. So we write down log 10h is equals to 0.7. Then after that, we move the 10 to the other side, make it become 10 to the power of 0.7. We get our answer 5.012, 4 significant figures. Lastly is the gradient. So our gradient, I will advise you, when you want to find the gradient, try to use the point that is already provided in the question and try to use the point passed through by your line. For example, you can use this point passed through by your line. Okay, this point also passed through by my line. You can see this one also pass through, this one also pass through. You got 4 points to use, right? My advice only, try to avoid using y-intercept. Actually can use, but try to avoid using y-intercept to find the gradient. Do you know why? Because imagine that if you read your y-intercept wrongly, for example, okay, if you read your y-intercept wrongly, it will cause 2 questions wrong. H also salah, K pun salah. Okay, so that's why we want to avoid that. So we try to take other points, right? Other points than y-intercept. So you got 4 points here. You just choose any 2 points lah. Try to take the point which is further a bit. Don't take too close. And then here we compare with the gradient. So in this case, in my calculation, I took this point and also 0.2. I took this point. Oh, it's quite it's okay lah, not too close. But if possible, try to get from the back lah, if possible. Okay, then after that, we just have to move the negative to the other side, and then we move the 10 to the other side, and then we get 1.155. So you can see all the value I get is at least 4 significant figures. Okay, that is to avoid the risk of losing marks. Okay, for the marking here, 1 mark for the table. Okay, this one, the graph, I want to emphasize here, how you get the 3 marks here. Your examiner, they will check. First, they will look at your big Y, log 10Y. They look at your big X, small x. Then they will check your scale at the Y-axis and the big X-axis. And then what they will check is, you got 6 points, right? As long as 1 point is plotted correctly based on your table, you will get your first mark. Okay. The second thing, they will check all the 6 points. If all 6 points plotted correctly, you will get your next marks. All right. Then next thing, they will check your line of best fit. Once your line of best fit fulfill the 2 conditions I mentioned just now, and you must have the y-intercept, you will get your 3rd mark. So basically, this is how you get your marks. Okay, remember. And then linear form, 1 mark. The answer for first one, 1 mark. Compare y-intercept, 1 mark. Answer 1 mark. Compare gradient, 1 mark. Answer 1 mark. So maybe you want to ask me, this question got follow through or not? Because maybe your graph is wrong. I can tell you, yes, of course we have. Where is the follow through here? Let's say if your graph is wrong, you already plot it wrongly. So which means your y-intercept also wrong and your gradient also wrong. So the value you compare here, 0.7, and the gradient you find here, it will be wrong also, right? It will cause your final answer for H and K also wrong. But if this value, y-intercept, you obtain it correctly from the line of best fit you draw, even though it's wrong, but you compare it correctly with log 10H, you still can get this 1 mark because this 1 mark is given to your understanding. Same thing also, the gradient here, the coordinate you obtain from the graph you draw, even though it's wrong already, you obtain it correctly and you compare it correctly with negative log 10K, you still can get this 1 mark, even though your final answer cannot get marks. Okay, so this mark usually you see in marking, they will write down K. Of course, in school you do not know, but in SPM we know. They will write down K. That one is for your understanding, kefahaman. Okay, so again, I want to advise, when you answer one question, please answer completely. All right. Okay, so let us go to the next chapter that I want to remind you. Next, we want to look at vectors. So vectors is another chapter which is considered not that difficult, not that difficult. But starting last year, you can easily lose mark because of certain marking scheme. So we are not too sure whether they will continue that marking scheme or not. But just to be safe, try to follow my advice here. Okay, I show you the first question first. First question is I took from SPM. I cannot remember which year, but it's simple questions. Okay, at least we need to know this kind of vector, which is the vector Iz. Because as you know, usually question they will ask 2 kind of vector. One is a vector of Iz. Another kind of vector is other unknown. For example, XY, MN, PQ, and so on. What is the difference between vector Iz and the other vector? So you have to understand vector Iz, you know the movement because we know vector I, for example, vector, I write it down here, vector I means move to the right hand side by 1 unit, right? So which means we know that negative I means move to the left by 1 unit. Same thing also, vector j, it means move up by 1 unit. This one also 1 unit. That is a special part of vector I and vector j. Vector negative j, it means move down by 1 unit. But if you ask me the other vector, vector x, vector y, other unknown, we never know. Okay, only vector I and j we know. So that's why we can see the relation between the coordinate and the I and j. For example, the first one, they wanted to set the OA. So O to A, you can see the coordinate here is 5 and 12. Definitely, you know that if you want to move from O to A, you have to move to the right by 5 unit, move up by 12 unit, right? Then you can write the answer already, which is 5I minus 12j, 1 mark, right? So here I write down already, OA equals to 5, 12, and OB equals to negative 3, 2. So we can directly get the vector starting from O by referring to the coordinate. Of course, you can leave it in either the column vector form or the IJ form. Okay, but one thing I want to remind you here, because these questions, they ask the answer in IJ form, xi plus yj. So in your answer, don't write like this. Some people, they might write like this. OA equals to bracket 5, 12. Then they write the answer again, 5i plus 12j. Actually, as a teacher, I understand what the student try to mean here. The student understand this one as moving to the right by 5 unit, then moving up by 12 unit. And after that, they convert it back to I and J form. This is how the student understand. And we as a teacher also, we understand this is how you understand. But for examiner, they understand differently. So this one, you have to be careful a bit. Okay, how the examiner understand this, they will understand this one as you give 2 answers. I repeat. They will understand this one as you give 2 answers. So that's why even though your answer is correct, you will lose this 1 mark. Okay. So for this kind of question, usually either they ask you to give in column vector form or the IJ form. Please avoid given both. Okay. Don't write this one down. Even though some people, you assume that one as working state, but they don't understand in that way. So we just write 5i plus 12j only. Don't write the column vector. Same thing also, if the question asks for column vector, don't write the answer in IJ. Okay? Otherwise, they will thought that you give you give 2 answers. All right? Now, express AB in the form of XY. This one is what we call the column vector form. The form of column vector. So what we do, AB is equals to AO plus OB, right? This one we apply the triangle law. And then because we know OA is 5, 12, right? So AO terbalik lah become negative 5, negative 12. And the OB, we just copy down, negative 3, 2. And then we just count it. We get negative 8 and negative 10. But you must understand, with this, we already get the answer actually. And this is one way lah for us to solve. And you know that in SPM, 1 mark is given to this step. 1 mark is given to the answer. So surprisingly, the triangle law usually will give you 1 mark before you substitute inside. Later, I will show you again one question in paper 2. Let us have a look. Okay, you try to understand how is the way they give mark. This first step, AO plus OB, surprisingly give you 1 mark. And then after that, your working step, the answer give you 1 mark. And of course, you know this is not the only way. You can do in this way also, OB minus OA. Okay, you use the coordinate B minus coordinate A, because you notice, if you use the 2 minus 12, you will get negative 10, right? If you use negative 3 minus 5, you will get negative 8, correct? Like what I show you here. So which means we use the final point minus the initial point. So in this case, the 1 mark is given to this step. 1 mark is given to your answer, of course. Okay, so remember, if you want to find certain resultant vector, you can either apply the triangle law or you use the final point minus the initial point. Okay, so one more thing again, have to be careful whether the question 1 in the IJ form or the column vector. Okay, so if the question specifically mentions something, don't give both, especially the 1 mark questions. Okay, so basically this one is paper 1 question and in IJ. So let me show you one question which is not in IJ. For example, this one. This one is a paper 2 question. And you can see the vector that used here is vector B, vector A. So again, like I said just now, what is the difference between vector IJ and other vector? Vector IJ, we know the movement is 1 unit, 1 unit. So that's why we can relate the vector I and Z to the coordinate. But vector A and B, we do not know. We never know what is the direction, how long, how much it moves, and so on. What direction it moves also we do not know. Okay, but we do know that if the question say OR is 18B, so which means it moved from O to R is 18B. So I will advise the student usually draw the direction. Okay, draw the direction. Same thing also, O to P is 6A, draw the direction. Okay, next we can see this OR equals to 2PQ. I noticed some people, I'm not sure about you, but some of my students, they do not know how to read this one. They can easily read it wrongly. So my advice is, you can move this PQ, go down, and then you write it as OR over PQ equals to 2. 2 is actually 2 over 1, right? So as you can see, OR is 2, PQ is 1. So if OR is 2, OR is 2 means OR is double PQ. So if OR is 18B, PQ should be 9B. So this is how we understand that. Okay, but of course, this is not the only way. You can use your own way to understand. Now, first question, expressed in terms of A and B, find the PR and find the OQ. PR should be easy because you can see PR, we can go through PO plus OR, right? And then PO, terbalikkan, the direction going back already. So if we write it as negative 6A plus 18B. 18B is we follow the direction. With that, we get the answer already for PR. Simple questions. Let us have a look on OQ. So if you want to find OQ, we can go through OPPQ, right? So write it down, OP plus PQ, and then you put in the vector, which is 6A plus 9B. With that, we get the answer already. So if you look properly, this question, they give you 3 marks. So it's important for you to know where you get these 3 marks. Okay, you listen here properly. The first mark is given to your triangle law. I repeat again, the first mark is given to your triangle law. So it's either from your A1 or your A2. I repeat again, it's either from your A1 or your A2, you will get your first mark. Okay, I write down here, or it's important for you to know this. Okay, second mark is given to the answer for PR. Third mark is given to the answer for OQ. Okay, why I want to specially mention about this marking. So students, I hope you can keep in mind about this. When you answer this kind of question, especially paper 2 question A, you must show the triangle law. Okay, I repeat, you must show the triangle law. Why? Usually, I will advise my student to show lah. My reason is, after they show, they can easier for them to refer and easier for them to get the answer. But in SPM, if you don't show the triangle law, you directly go to the answer, you might not get any marks, even though the answer is correct. So I repeat again. If you did not show your triangle law, especially for question A, you will not get any marks, even though your answer is correct. I know some students, they can process very fast. They can get the answer without writing that triangle law. Okay, memang can, because some of my students also can do that. But still, my advice is don't do that. Don't skip that very first step. Okay, because it might cause you lose all the marks. It's very cruel. Honestly, I don't. The reason given to them is honestly, I have no idea what is the real reason behind why they are so strict with the marking for this kind of question. So to avoid losing marks, please make sure always always show the triangle law before you start. Okay. Now, it is given that, we read the question B, it is given that PT is equal to KPR, where K is a constant. Find the value of K if point O, T, Q are collinear. So you know that this kind of question, of course, first thing we want to find is our PT, right? Because the question already tell you PT. So PT is KPR. So we just have to put in the PR. So our PR is negative 6A plus 18B, right? We find it first. And then maybe we can expand it. It becomes negative 6KA plus 18KB. Okay, secondly, when the question talk about the collinear, so you must understand one thing. First, they are parallel. Okay, second, they have a common point. This is the thing you have to know if you want to know, if you want to prove. This is the thing you need to know if they are collinear. So which means if you look at the point OTQ, you have the possible vector you can see inside is either OT or OQ or TQ, right? So we just have to choose two vectors here for us to compare with lambda or any other suitable unknown here to represent the ratio between the two vectors. Because you know that if two vectors are parallel, they always have the ratio between them, right? That one is the lambda. So now, which two vectors we can choose? Maybe you can choose OQ. Why we choose OQ? Because we already get OQ from question A, right? So the second one, maybe we can either choose between OT and TQ. That one up to you. So in my solution, I choose to find OT. Why? Because if you want your answer, if you want to find K, you must relate to PT. So if you look here, O, P, P, T will give us OT, right? So that's why we are going to choose OT here. So I find my OT. OT is equal to OP plus PT. And the PT I can change to KPR. Okay, then after that, I substitute, I can replace the vector inside. So it becomes 6A. So the KPR, I write it as K bracket negative 6A plus 18B. But of course, we don't live in this form because you know that the vector A here, we have to factorize it. So we open it and then we factorize it. So as you can see, this is what I did it here. It becomes 6 minus 6K bracket A plus 18K vector B. Okay, after we get the OT, what we're supposed to do? Now we want to apply the concept of parallel. Okay, parallel, which means we can add the lambda between these two vectors. So the vector I choose here is OT and OQ. So this lambda represents the ratio between the two vectors. So you can either put in front of OQ or in front of OT. It's up to you. So as long as the question talk about parallel or collinear, you can do that. Okay, now we substitute the vector in. So the OQ is 6A plus 9B. OT, okay, we put in 6 minus 6KA plus 18KB. Okay, after that, we just have to compare side by side. So which means we compare the coefficient of A first, and then we compare the coefficient of B. So A will give you 6 lambda and 6 minus 6K at the right-hand side, right? If B left-hand side is 9 lambda, right-hand side is 18K. So we compare it. After that, we let the lambda as 2K, and then we replace the lambda here, and then we're supposed to get our answer, which is 1 over 3. Okay, we substitute inside, and then we get our final answer, which is 1 over 3. So the process here, I skip lah. I think the student here, you should able to know, you should able to simplify it. You just have to simplify, and then you move it, and then you count it. You should get the answer. So here, I just want to show you in SPM which step you have to show, which step is important for you to write in order to get the marks here. So this question, the marks is high, 5 marks. Okay, just now from question A, I said you must show the triangle law to get 1 mark, right? So you can see the second question here also got triangle law. So do we have to show the triangle law again to get 1 mark? My answer is triangle law, you only get 1 mark for one time only, usually in question A. So that's why question B, triangle law is not that important anymore. I mean, it is not important for you to write. You write also, you will not get the 1 mark. So the 1 mark is given to this step. When you replace the PT with KPR, 1 mark. Okay, it's still triangle law. It's just that they give to the second step before you substitute in. You notice vector, the chapter of vector, they always give the first mark before you substitute the vector inside. So make sure that don't do too fast, because sometimes you don't know when are you going to make mistake. You always start with the first step first before you proceed. Okay, the second mark is given once you get your vector OT, after you factorize the A here. And then the third mark is when you apply the concept of parallel, which means this step. Okay, this step. You just write down lambda OQ equals to OT. Not necessarily lambda, it can be other unknown. As long as the unknown is not used in this question, then you can use. I usually use lambda because the question seldom use lambda in the questions. Okay, this step, you see, before you substitute, you can get 1 mark already. Right, that is given to your understanding on the concept of parallel. Okay, the next step is given once you compare. I put at the wrong position here. It should be here. Either you compare the coefficient of A or the coefficient of B. Then you will get 1 mark. Okay, some people may be wondering, because maybe you skip this step, you directly go to the next step after you substitute inside, whether can get the 1 mark or not. Let me tell you, can. Because this 1 mark is actually given to this step or this step, before or after you substitute with the vector. But if you can easily get the marks before you substitute, why not you show it first to get the marks right, to secure the marks first before you make careless mistake. Okay, and then 1 more mark, of course, given to your answers. Okay, so basically this is how we get the marks in the chapter of vector. So a few things I want to give you advice. First, especially in every time the question, if you need the triangle law, please show it before you continue. Okay, I repeat, please show the triangle law before you substitute with the vector. Second, if the question related to the concept of parallel coordinate or whatever concept is that, always show the first step before you substitute the vector inside, because that first step always might give you 1 mark. I cannot say 100% guarantee got 1 mark, but it might give you 1 mark. Okay, so that's all for vector that I want to share with you. So now the time is almost 4:20. So I want to share with you again one more topic, which is probability distribution. So this chapter might be a little bit long, so I try to do as fast as possible. So this chapter, many students, they might afraid of it. But if you look at my analysis just now, for the past 5 years, this chapter actually contribute the highest marks in SPM compared to the other chapter. Of course, the difference is not that great, but still, the fact is this chapter every year will come out and every year will not miss from your SPM. So I believe that it will be the same also in KSSM. So let us have a look how we're supposed to answer this chapter and how we get the marks from here. So what step we must show, what step we can skip. We start from the binomial first, and you know that for binomial, you got formula, right? So the formula is also given, but the formula looks very complicated if you still remember, because the formula look like this: P x equals to R equals to NCR P to the power of R Q to the power of N minus R. For some people may be okay, but for some people, they will feel that this formula look very complicated. So that's why if for my student, I teach them without using this formula, they will always do according to their understanding. So maybe you can try to do in that way also, because if possible, we try to reduce the formula that we need to memorize, right? And second thing we have to know is the formula for mean. Mu equals to NP, and the standard deviation NPQ. Okay, if you notice that these two formula, mean and standard deviation is not given in SPM also, right? Not given. So you have to memorize it. Mu is NP. The standard deviation is NPQ. It's not that difficult to memorize that one. Okay, so to find the P, if you look at the question, the mean is 615 and the variance is 126. And the probability for the student to participate in a scout is P, right? So you want to find the value of P. So which means the probability for that person to participate in the scout. So by referring to the formula, you know that this mean is already given, which is 315. And the variance also given, which is 126. So we put inside here, 315 and 126, right? Okay, some people maybe they confused already until this step because they do not know how to solve it. You got three unknown. You got N, you got P, and you got Q. But do you notice that this NP and this NP are the same? Okay, these two are the same. So which means this NP here, I can replace it with 315 because they are the same, right? So with that, I move the 315 to the other side. I will get the value of Q, which is 0.4. And you know that the relation between the P and Q, okay, so for those who are not really familiar with this chapter, just for your information, P represent the probability of success. Probability of success. And then Q represent the probability of failure. So the total of P and Q is 1. So P plus Q is equals to 1. Okay, that is the total probability. So to get the P, very simple, just use the 1 minus 0.4, then we get 0.6. This question, of course, is an easy one, just to show you how to use the formula of the mean and the variance. And of course, I want to emphasize again, these two formula, mean and variance, is not given in SPM. So make sure you memorize it. And it's not that difficult to memorize. Mu is NP, standard deviation is NPQ. And variance is NPQ. Standard deviation, you have to add a square root there. Okay, we just have to memorize the variance. Then you should be able to find the standard deviations. 1 mark, 1 mark. So this question is a straightforward one. So the first mark is given once you substitute the 315 and the 126 inside. 1 mark is given again for your answer P. So this one is the easy one. So now I want to show you the next question, which it requires the formula of this NCRP to the power of RQ to the power of N minus R, and how we do it in a more simple way. Okay, let us have a look. It is found that the mean, oh no, this one we already get, and we know already our P is 0.6 and the Q is 0.4. Okay, this one we get it from the first question. If 8 students from the school are chosen at random, so we know that our sample now we have 8. Find the probability that more than 5 students participate in the scout. Okay, if what is the meaning of more than 5? So which means it can be either 6 people or 7 people or 8 people. That is how we understand more than 5 students participate in the scout, right? Can be 6, can be 7, can be 5. So which means we have 3 things we need to find here. One is the probability for 6 people to participate, 7 people to participate, and then 8 people to participate. So we have to find one by one. Okay, remember I said just now, we can find this one without using the formula. So now I show you how to do it without using formula. So actually very simple. We write down both probability first, 0.6 and 0.4. Just remember that 0.6 is participate. 0.4 is not participate. So I write down here also 0.4, and here also I write down again 0.6 and then 0.4. Then you ask yourself, for the first case, 6. How many people participate? Of course, 6 lah, because we write down 6 already. So you write, so from the calculation, you understand it as participate, we have 6 people. So not participate, we only have 2 people. Okay, and then in front here, we have to write down 8 choose 6. Okay, why 8 choose 6? Because 0.6 to the power of 6, 0.4 to the power of 2, that one is only for one case. We have to know how many possible cases here. So that's why we have to count again with 8 choose 6 in front. Actually, add choose 2 also give you the same answer, no problem. So you, as long as the value you take it from the power you write down here, then should be okay already. You just have to make sure that the total of 6 and 2 always give you the total sample given here, which is at not more than that, not less than that. Same thing also, if 7 people participate in the scout, 7. Not participate in the scout, of course, 1 person. So in front here, we write down 8, choose 7. Of course, if you write down 8, choose 1, it will give you the same value, right? Just make sure that the value, you take it from here, and the total is 8. One more is, the last case here is participate in the scout, 8 people. Not participate in the scout, of course, nobody. So 0, right? In front here, we write down 8C8. So you notice that the last one here, actually 8C8 is 1. 0.4 to the power of 0 is 1. So we just have to write it as 0.6 to the power of 8. So which means from the starting again, you don't have to use formula here. Why? Because everyone participate in the scout. Nobody not participate. But of course, if you want to show the full formula, can also, no problem. And since the outcome is either 6 or 7 or 8, so in our calculation, we need to plus them. So our first step, we write down px equals to 6 plus px equals to 7 plus px equals to 8. And then you show the calculations like the one I show you here, and then you get your answer. Make sure your answer is 1, 2, 3, 4 significant figures. Okay, so this is important, especially the question that involve different cases for you to count. For example, this one you have to count for 6, 7, 8. So the first mark is given to this step. So surprisingly, this step got 1 mark. Do you notice this step you have any calculation at all? No calculation. It's just to show that you understand the meaning of more than 5 students is for 6 or 7 or 8. Once you show this step, even though you haven't shown any calculation, you get 1 mark already. And the second mark, of course, is given when you show the calculations. Third mark is the answer. Some of you maybe you want to ask, what if you did not show the first step to get the 1 mark? Okay, so now I just want to tell you, if you did not show the first step to get the 1 mark, then the 1 mark will go to either you count for the first case, or the second case, or the third case, or any of the calculation here, you show it correctly, you can get the first mark. Once you show all the calculation correctly, then you plus them, second mark. 1 more mark is the answer. Okay, no problem if you forgot to show. But of course, I still advise you to show this first step. Why? Because this first step is easy for you to get. You just write down this only. Px equals to 6 plus px equals to 7 plus px equals to 8. You can easily get the 1 mark already, even though you have no idea how to do the calculation, right? So why not? Okay, so that's all for binomial. So now we have to go through fast to go to normal distribution, the second part, before we end our session today. A survey is carried out about a scout in a school. This one, almost the same question. I take almost the same question about a scout, but the condition is different. The mass of the scout member in the school follow a normal distribution. So once you see the word normal distribution, please remember this one. You have to know, you want to find the z-score, and the formula to find the z-score is x minus mu over standard deviation. But that one formula is not given in its SPM, so you don't have to worry about that. It's given in SPM with a mean of 48 and the standard deviation of 5.8. Okay, now the question wants you to find the probability that the member chosen at random from the group have a mass of less than 45. So what do you mean, or how we understand less than 45? So less, we use the symbol of this, less, right? 45. And the mass here is the original score before we standardize. So we label it as X. So that's why we know that the things we want to find here is Px is less than 45. So remember that before you want to find the probability, we had to find the z-score for this 45 first. By using the formula, z is equals to x minus mu over standard deviations. So our x here is 45, our mean is 48, and our standard deviation is 5.8. Show this formula, and then you get the value. The value is 45 minus 48 divided by 5.8. So we get negative 0.5172, or if you round off, it becomes negative 0.517. So you know that until this step, you can either use the table or use the calculator, right? Either table or calculator. So if you use the table, make sure you read it properly. So if you use the calculator, make sure you know the function R, Q, and P. R means moving to the right. So you can see the sign is like this. Q means moving to the middle. So usually I don't really encourage my student to use middle. P means moving to the left. So you can see the symbol is less. So what you can see here, less. So for those who want to use calculator, please press P. And then you will get your answer, 0.3025. Okay, 4 significant figures. So remember, you must strictly follow the rules, 4 significant figures. 1 mark given when you standardize, 1 mark given when you get the answer. Okay, so that's why whether you use table or you use calculator is up to you, because the whole process there is no marks. The first mark is given when you use the formula to standardize to find a z-score. Second mark is the answer already. Usually this kind of question, 2 marks only. So even though you don't know how to write in this form, P bracket Z less than 45 something, this step itself, if you show this working, you can get the first mark also. Okay, so that's why sometimes the student, they have no idea what to do, but you just use the formula, you use to find the z-score, then you already get the 1 mark before you know what you're supposed to do actually. Okay, please, this is a thing that you must know, how to get the marks, even though you don't know how to continue. But of course, if you can get a z-score, try to learn how to use the formula, or try to learn how to use the calculator to help you to find the probability. Okay, let me show you the last one for today. Second question. The question I show you is the normal question that usually come out in SPM. So find the value of M if 25%, and we know that 25% actually means the probability of 0.25, correct? And the scout member have the mass more than M. And mass, again, mass is the original value, we label it as X, more than like this, M. So from here we know already, the probability for the mass more than M is equals to 0.25. So this is our first step. We write like this, P X more than M is equals to 0.25. But of course, we cannot start first. We have to standardize this M first, because this one is the original score. How I know? Because this is X. So we use the formula to standardize first. It becomes M minus 48 over 5.8. Because we don't know what is M, right? So you terpaksa write in this form. M minus 48 over 5.8. So we are still applying the formula of finding the score. And the probability is 0.25. So after that, what you need to do is, what you need to know is, this thing itself is the z-score. This one is the probability. So we need to find the probability. We need to refer to the probability to find the z-score. How you refer? This one we have to refer to table. So let me show you the table here. Okay, we want to find 0.25. So from the table, we try to find it. Where is that 0.25? So can you see 0.25? This value is the nearest one. 0.25, 2514. The next value is 0.2483. It's already smaller than 0.25. We don't want that. We want the value which is slightly bigger. So this value we want to take, and then the first thing you check, you look at the left-hand side, 0.6. This value we want to take, and then we take the one from above, 7, and then we do not want the 14 at the back, right? This 14 we do not want. So that's why we have to minus it. That is the reason why we got the column here, minus. How much we have to minus? 14, but we don't have 14 here, so we choose the nearest number, 13. And the value above is 4. So that value actually gives you the z-score, 0.674. So from here, we know that this value, in the z-score value inside, is actually equals to 0. I write down here, is actually equals to 0.674. So what we need to do now, we compare them. m minus 48 over 5.8 equals to 0.674. And you will get your answer for m, which is 51.91. If you round off, you can get 51.91. Don't leave your answer less than that. More than that is okay. Less than that, don't. Okay, so how to get the marks here? We got 3 marks here. So remember, first mark is given when you get your probability, when you get your z-score from the table. I repeat, when you get your z-score from the table, you will get 1 mark. Second mark is given when you equate it with m minus 48 over 5.8, because both of these are actually z-score. So now you compare them to get the answer. Third mark is your final answer. Okay, I repeat, first mark is given for the z-score you obtain from the table. Second mark is given when you equate it, compare with the z-score that you wrote down here. So third mark is the answer. Some of you maybe for you, oh, it's so difficult for me to write in this way. I don't know how to write. So let me tell you, if you really don't know how to write, don't worry. I teach you a way how to write it in order to get full mark. So firstly, okay, this one is for those who really have no idea how to write in this formula, because some people, they feel that it's difficult. Firstly, we find a z-score first. So we find a z-score because the mass now is m, kan? We find a z-score, m minus 48 over 5.8. Okay, we already get our z-score from the m. So now we want to get the z-score based on the 25%. Okay, just now we find the z-score from the m, right? So now we want to find the z-score from the 25%. Okay, what we get here, if you refer to your table, you will get 0.674. Okay, then after that, we know that these two are the same. You compare m minus 48 over 5.8 equals to 0.674. Then after that, you just have to count it. You will get your answer, 51.91. Okay, maybe you worry, can I get marks from here? Of course can. First mark is given to your z-score you obtain from a table. Second mark is given when you equate both z-score together with the m minus 48 over 5.8. Third mark is the answer. Of course, this question, sometimes the z-score can be negative, sometimes the z-score can be positive. How to know? Look at the sign. Do you look at this? Can you see the sign here? So this one is the last information I want to give you. If the sign is more, that will give you positive. If the sign is less, then your z-score might be negative. Okay, this one you have to check. Okay, so I believe that my time is up already. So definitely today, 2 hours, honestly, if you want to go through all topic is impossible, but at least I have shown you already some of the main idea, what could be the format this year and what could be the topic might come out this year, and also the webpage, the possible webpage in SPM, and also the main idea how they give mark in SPM and how the follow through marks work, and some of the important marking that you have to remember, and some of the mistake you must avoid to avoid losing too many marks in your working. Okay, and hopefully this will help you a little bit in your preparation for your SPM. And lastly, I hope all the best for you in the preparation for SPM next year. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much. So I give it back to moderator.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ma, for your wonderful and informative sharing just now. And students, once again, we open the floor for the Q&A sections. If you have any questions, just type on the chat box and I will read out your questions. Dr. Ma, there are 3 questions asked just now, 2 from YouTube. Okay, first question is from Ma. He asked, I guess it's a he, if we give all the answer in fraction instead of decimal, is it allowed? Especially when the question did not mention about special requirements for the answer, like 3 significance or 4 decimal places, so on and so forth. Can the student just leave it in fraction?
Oh, about that one, no problem. Actually, I prefer the answer given in the fractions. So unless the question asks for the decimal form, but otherwise you can always leave in fraction. But if you want to leave it in decimal, make sure you have 4 significant figures.
Okay. Second question is from YouTube Gaming Master. He asks, I guess it's a he, how to memorize the max formula.
How to memorize the MS formula?
Any recommendations?
Honestly, if for me, the minimum formula you have to memorize is the one yang not given in formula list. The one formula list, no need to memorize. So the one yang not given in formula list, as I said, we usually find a way to help us to remember. For example, the one I showed just now, coordinate geometry, we got a very complicated formula, but we try to use the cross method to help us to memorize. Actually, it's memorized also, but we are not memorizing word by word, mx2 plus nx1, but we memorize through our drawing. So I do believe that different people, they have different way of memorizing. So this is my way lah. I will try to ask my students to draw something so that to help them to memorize.
Okay, thank you. And the third question is from YouTube as well, Peter. What are the minimum numbers of plotted points that the line of the best fit should cross through? Is there any like requirement that the line must pass through at least like 3 or 4 or 5, something like that?
Okay, thank you. I believe that this is from the chapter of linear law, right? So
yes.
For information, there is no any rules about how many points you have to pass through. And it is possible that your straight line is not passing through any point at all. So that's why you just have to follow you just have to fulfill the two conditions I give you just now. One is you must make sure the point at the left-hand side and the right-hand side almost the same, or the difference is only one, or the difference between the point and the line must be almost the same, cannot be too different. So again, I want to repeat, it is possible that your line will not pass through any point at all.
Okay, I hope that Dr. Ma answer your questions, Vito. And then there's another questions from the YouTube as well. They request to have more session with you because your information is too informative. They like your sessions.
Maybe this one depends. See if it's chance again and to cooperate, to work together with the organizer. Maybe we still can find time for that.
Okay. There's another questions from our chat box here. Any tips to score at max, score higher? Besides, be careful about reading the questions, and then make sure write down the answer in 4 significant figures at least, so on and so forth. Any other tips to help the students?
Beside the way to write the answer, beside the marking scheme that you have to know, of course, we have another important thing. We call it the strategy. Like I say, different school, they have different strategy. For example, my school, I have different strategy that I prepare for the student who still fail, who get less than 10 marks, 20 marks, those who already passed, and what chapter they have to, what they're supposed to do in order to boost them to A, and those who already get 60, 70 something, how to push themselves to A+. Different strategy there. So that one had to be well planned. The time given, for example, let's say if the student gets single digit, okay, what chapter I need them to do in order to get certain marks. You remember at the beginning, I could show you the average mark that I obtained from different chapter. Why I want to do that? Because that is the way for me to know if my student, let's say, a student only get 5 marks, what chapter he need in order to increase to certain grade that I want him to get, and then what chapter I need them. So I have prepared for them a list for them to refer, then for them to study. That one is actually very important, but today we do not have time for that. So for the strategy, maybe you can ask your teachers any advice from them. Okay, because your teacher will know you better. Where is your strength and where is your weakness and what do you need? So for me, you have to arrange your time. For example, you want to focus chapter by chapter. And that is the most important thing. You have to focus chapter by chapter because you know that every chapter will contribute marks in SPM. There is no luck that, oh, this chapter I don't like. I hope it will not come out. But I tell you, it will come out. everything will come out. So try to arrange your time. One chapter you try to use 1 or 1.5 weeks to master. Okay, spend the time for that, and you still have 4.5 months. So by right, if you want 4.5 months, if you count one topic 1 week, by right, 12 weeks, no, 4 months is 16 weeks. You almost cover everything already. But you have to make sure that you really study on that chapter, not just read through. Okay, so the key word here is you have to practice.
So students, remember, practice make perfect. Okay, someone stated here. Okay, there's another question. What is the minimum marks to get A?
Oh, that one, because different year, different level. So we know that SPM grade is related to the graph, right? So it depends on how are the overall student in Malaysia perform. Let's say if this year all the students are very, very smart and very good, and everyone perform very well result, definitely you will expect a very high grade, and then it will be difficult for you to get A. But in other way, if this year tiba-tiba you rasa, oh yeah, the question very difficult, everyone feel difficult. Of course, if you feel difficult, everyone in the whole Malaysia feel difficult, and the graph might be lower a bit. So maybe the marks for you to get A slightly higher a bit. So that's why what you need is try to make sure that you can always score more marks lah. And if you ask me what is the percentage, I don't really dare to say, because now it's KSSM. We still do not know yet how will be the standard. So try to follow your school level. Because once you get A in school, if you manage to get 70, should be not a problem for you to get A in SPM.
Okay, there's another question. Says that, will there be any questions where the answer is no solutions?
So far in SPM, there is no such question. All the question got solution.
Okay. Student, any more questions? Let me check. Okay. Okay, there's another student asked Roland Ta Ing Sun. Kalau saya dapat 65 dalam peperiksaan sekolah, adakah peluang untuk dapat A+ dalam SPM sebenar?
Honestly, if you ask me if you get 65 in in school exam, you got the chance or not? I can say high chance actually. Kamu ada potensi yang sangat tinggi untuk dapat at least A- dalam SPM.
Well, there's another questions from Adriana Sagandan. She asked, is 40 enough to score for AdMax?
40 enough to score for AdMax means he want to score what kind of grade, or he want to pass?
Adriana, can you type your expectations, like a pass or a C or a B or A for your 40 marks?
But of course, if 40%, I can say if you manage to, you can always score 40 something in your school. Passing
She's
in SPM
mentions
is not a problem.
about passing.
Oh,
passing.
It's not a problem. It's more than pass already, that I guess.
So Adriana, you don't need to worry. 40 is a pass.
But of course, we always try to work for higher marks, because 4.5 months, we still have a lot of things we can do.
Okay, there's another question from MD Adam. What is the important chapter that we must score?
If you say important chapter, like the one I show you already, every chapter play their roles to contribute the marks in your total, and which will affect your total grade. So actually, if you ask me which chapter should give priority first, I only can say different teachers, they have different strategy for their student. Like I say, I have my student. I have my own strategy for my own student. So today I do not have the time for you to share with you that one, because that one will take some time also. But the topic, for example, the one in section C, index number, social triangle, I try to master that one, because that one is already give you 20 marks in section C, right? If the question will come out like the one I predict. And then the chapter, for example, linear law is easy to score, right? Coordinate geometry is not a difficult chapter, but you know that it will come out 2 questions. Okay, so if possible, try to score also the probability distribution. So many people, they're afraid of that, but if you listen to my explanations now, it's easy for you to get marks, right? Actually, so the thing I can say is, try to master as many as possible topic you can. So do not have to worry how many topic you belum lagi pandai. The most important thing is how many chapter kamu sudah pandai. The more you get, the higher marks you can get.
Okay. Due to time constraints, so this will be the last questions. So Dr. Ma, there's a lot of the requests from the student to you. Do you provide tuitions? they like your sessions, so they ask for your tuitions.
Maybe can find another time to organize another bengkel lah. So tuition maybe.
Round two.
Well,
okay, we will look into it. Yeah.
All right, so
yeah.
Thank you, students, for all the questions. Hopefully it will be very helpful for your future reference. Parang hadirin, pihak SPM Ibu amat berbesar hati dapat bekerjasama dengan Dr. Ma Chi Nan yang berada di Kota Kinabalu untuk sesi kali ini. By the way, Dr. Ma is from KK, Sabah. So Dr. Ma Chi Nan, on behalf of SPM eBoost, we would like to express our greatest gratitude in making the eBoost SPM Revision Workshop a success one. We truly appreciate all your sharings during the sessions today. As a token of appreciations, we would like to present you with the certificates of appreciations from PPD, Miri, and RIAMTEC. May this be enough to show you how grateful we are that you are able to slot us in your busy schedule. Dear attendees, join me to celebrate these wonderful sessions by clicking the applause icon in the reactions options. Okay, before we end our event for today, I would like to invite all the guests for photography sessions. Please turn on your camera. And thank you for your cooperations. Okay, turn on your camera. We're going to take the photo together. Lina?
There are many of us here, so give me a little bit of time.
Lina, don't forget to post the QR code or the link for the students.
Sure.
So thank you for your cooperation. There's a QR code shown. Please kindly scan it now in order to obtain certificate of participations for participating in this event. And we will give you 3 minutes to do so. And we also take photo, the group photo. There's a request from Amber, cannot scan. Ina, can you share the link in the chat box so that they can click?
Thank you, Sean, for sharing the link. Yeah? Yes, you may obtain the certificate, okay, right away after the submission of your details, all right? Just a simple details, all right?
So Lina, did you manage to get all of the photos? Okay. So now the ceremony has come to its end, even though we don't want Dr. Ma to go. We want more session from him. But once again, thank you everyone for gracing our ceremony with your presence. We truly appreciate it. On behalf of the organizing committees, I would like to apologize if we have done any mistake throughout the events. Gentle reminder, don't forget to join our final sessions, chemistry workshop on Monday at 2:30. We have sent the Zoom meeting link to your email. I am my duty as a moderator for today's event, and with all the best in your future undertakings. Believe in yourself. Take good care of yourself, and thank you, Dr. Ma and everyone. And hope to see you guys soon. Bye-bye. See you guys on Monday. Good luck on your exam. Thank you, Dr. Ma.